you look at spring football, which is inching closer and closer to us, it'll take place that second or third week of March. And I remember mentioning this before. We love the people coming back. We love the starters coming back, the players with experience, the athletes that know how to get it done and why to get it done, and the importance of getting it done in the way Coach Saban likes for it to be done on the field. But as fans and myself and media, personality here, we can't help but to turn our eyes to the young guys, the freshmen that come in, because it's the shiny new toy syndrome. It's which one of these young guys can come in here and make an impact and attract our attention and captivate our eyes and have us look at them in a way that goes, could this guy be a starter? Could this guy be a marquee contributor? Could this guy bring a huge impact to the roster, whether it's offense, defense, special teams, what have you? And for the 2022 class, Alabama has brought in some very talented freshmen. And we're going to look at the positional units, the positional groups where a freshman can have a big impact. So, according to yours truly, here are the position groups I feel like starting this spring and going into the upcoming season in the fall where a freshman can have a major impact. Number one, you look at the offensive line. There's going to be a lot of competition on this offensive line up front. I think aside from Javion Cohen at left guard and Seth McLaughlin at center, there's going to be competition at right tackle, at left tackle, and though I know Emil Ekiyor Jr. has experience at right guard, there could be some competition right there as well. And when I look at Tyler Booker and Dane Shore, two early enrollees on the offensive line for this 2022 class, both of these two have an opportunity to grab either a starting spot or be massive contributors on the offensive line. You get a brand new coach in here for that position. Eric Wolford coming over from Kentucky, took Kentucky's offensive line, made it a Joe Moore Award finalist, took Kentucky's offensive line and had Chris Rodriguez Jr. over 1,300 yards rushing. Very productive season there as a running back. Has a footprint in the SEC. Wolford does. Highly respected in this conference. Really good recruiter. Really good teacher of techniques where the offensive line is concerned. So you got competition up front. And I think competition really helps freshmen. When you don't know, when you don't have guys set in stone at each spot there on the offensive line, it really helps the freshmen, the young guys, because now they have a chance to come in here, infiltrate the area and the space and show that they're ready to play now, they're ready to dominate now, or at the very least, they're ready to be a marquee contributor now. So the offensive line is a spot where freshmen could have a very massive impact. Keep your eyes there on Tyler Booker and Dane Shore. When I look at the wide receiver room, here's another position group that could have a freshman impact, and especially, or in particular, the slot receiver position. We know speed kills in college football. Speed kills at the wide receiver position. And when you have that guy that can create separation upon the snap of the ball at the top of the route, just get that defensive back's hands off of him and be able to free himself up to make big plays, it's a huge critical deal. And Jamison Williams had that characteristic in his game this past season prior to getting injured. Jalen Waddle had that characteristic to his game. Henry Ruggs III had that characteristic to his game. All the marquee receivers had that trait, is they knew how to free themselves from press coverage, from being jammed, getting themselves away from the defensive back at any part of the route, being able to catch the football, working with the quarterback. And at that slot position, you look at guys like Aaron Anderson and Kendrick Law as freshmen. I know Christian Leary, back for his second season. He's going to be a guy in that slot to keep your eye on. JoJo Earl as well. When you look at these two freshmen here, Aaron Anderson and Kendrick Law, first off with Anderson, speed to burn. The guy can fly. He's got wheels. He has got big-time burners, can create that separation, can get off a defensive back, can run those routes, work back to the quarterback, make those types of plays that have your jaw drop. And then you have a Kendrick Law, who he comes to Alabama as an athlete, played running back and wide receiver in high school, but I think the wide receiver position may be the spot there for him. So that slot position, going to be some competition there. But when I look at Aaron Anderson and the speed, the big play speed he brings, because when you have that type of speed, it forces a defense to play you differently. They can't just lock up on you, because when you have a guy with that type of acceleration and he can break through that coverage, it's not going to be good for corners. It's not going to be good for safeties. It's not going to be good for defensive coordinators. So in the slot position this spring, definitely look at Aaron Anderson and Kendrick Law, two freshmen that can make an impact at that spot. As we continue offensively, we go to the tight end position. And here's a spot where a freshman in Elijah Brown can make a huge impact in being a complement to Cameron Latou. Latou comes back from a season where he had 8 touchdown receptions, decided to forego the NFL draft and come back for another year. With Jaleel Billingsley going to Texas via the transfer portal, this gives Elijah Brown a chance to come in, take this playbook smoothly, get on the field, show fans what he can do, and being that immediate complement to Latou. Now, I know Alabama's got Amari Nablack coming in the summer, also Danny Lewis Jr., but this gives Elijah Brown at 6'5", 230 pounds to have an impact on his offense, to have an impact on this system, and to be that complement there for Latou. So tight end is a position where a freshman could have some say here. As we move now over to defense, we look at the outside linebacker position, and we know who the 2 starters are going to be. It's going to be Will Anderson and Dallas Turner. No surprise to anybody. But the guy, who would be a guy or guys to emerge after those 2? And this is where Jeremiah Alexander and Giot Campbell, 2 5-stars, come in. And I mean, these 2 are not coming in here to sit down. These 2 are in here to take somebody's spot at that position. And when I look at Chris Braswell and Keanu Colt and Quandarius Robinson, these 3 got to be ready and on their P's and Q's, because when you look at Alexander at 6'2", 250 pounds, he brings championship pedigree from Thompson High School in Alabaster here in the Birmingham area. He helped Thompson win a Class 7A state title this past season, and those numbers he had, 93 tackles, I think he had 27 quarterback hurries, 10 sacks, just incredible production from Alexander. And he can play at the strong side backer position, because I think he's got that size to hold up at the mesh point of attack, stopping the run there, but he can also be a jack linebacker and just getting after the quarterback. He's that physical, he's that athletic, he's that strong. When you look at Giot Campbell, more of a versatile linebacker, can play inside, can play outside, but he's long, he's rangy, he's athletic, he's physical, he can make plays as well. So that outside linebacker position, after Will Anderson, after Dallas Turner, it is a spot where a freshman can have an impact, can come off the bench, can enter games, and can create a name for itself and make some things happen. So at that position, keep your eyes there, Jeremiah Alexander and Giot Campbell. And so last but not least for me, I look at the inside linebacker position, in particular the weak side backer spot. Now at wheel linebacker, Jalen Moody would get the first crack at that in the spring, just due to his experience, played in over 50 career games in his tenure, came in 2018 as a 3-star from South Carolina. But behind him, I look at a Sean Murphy for just a moment here. Dick Butkus, one of the greatest to ever play the linebacker position. He was so great that they had an award named after him, the Butkus Award. Dick Butkus, when he says something, you take it to heart. When he says something, it's concrete. It's Bible. If Dick Butkus said something about the linebacker position, you really zero in on that thing because he played the position. He was great at it, a legend at it, Super Bowl champion at it. When Dick Butkus says something, you really stamp it down with the pen to paper. And he mentioned that Sean Murphy, to him, reminds him of Nakobe Dean in Dean's time at Georgia. Dean, outstanding linebacker, Butkus Award winner, ended up, of course, pursuing the NFL draft after helping Georgia win a national championship this past season. So if Sean Murphy is anything like a Nakobe Dean, that weak side linebacker position is another one to keep your eyes on. Now, of course, you have Jalen Moody, you have Deontay Lawson, you have Demore Kennedy, you have Kendrick Blackshaw, you have guys fighting for that spot, going after that spot. But if Sean Murphy is anything resembling to Nakobe Dean, keep your eyes on Murphy as a freshman at that position. Can have a huge, major impact there. But those are just my positional groups that I can see a freshman being impactful here for the Crimson Tide. A lot of people are like, well, Steven, why didn't you put running back right there? Well, you got a four-headed monster with Trey Sanders, Jace McClellan, Roydell Williams, and Jahmyr Gibbs. The only reason why a running back would go in here, or that position would go in here, is if somebody was to get hurt, God forbid an injury, or if somebody was to enter the transfer portal after spring football. That would be the only reason why a running back would get in here. Some would say, well, Steven, what about defensive line? Defensive line, I thought about that one. And as much as I like Curtis Perry, the guy's a freak show. Justin Smith, our own scouting and recruiting analyst, talked about it. Perry, the most violent, physical, nasty, angry, big play defensive end he saw on the recruiting trail this past cycle. And him and Jaheim Otis, who's dropped 15 pounds, that's intriguing to me. But what's tough for that defensive line position where freshmen are concerned would be how much depth is returning. When you have DJ Dale back, and Byron Young back, and Justin Aboigbe back, and Tim Smith back, and Braylon Ingram back, and the guys from the 2021 class with Damon Payne and Anquin Barnes and Tim Keenan III. You got Jamarian Latham back, Jamil Burrows back. You got so many guys back on that defensive line. So I'm not saying that Curtis Perry or Jaheim Otis could not break through all of that depth and get on the field. They very well can, but it's just more of a challenge there at that defensive line position, seeing all that depth being back. So I would just look at offensive line, wide receiver, tight end, outside linebacker, and inside linebacker, particularly weak side linebacker, as the spots where freshmen can literally get on that field and create a good, strong impact starting with spring ball into the upcoming season.